Hi guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how I do my makeup with my feeding tube. I don't wear a whole lot of makeup, I kind of just wear a very natural look. I'm also not the greatest at makeup, but I figured I would show you guys how I do my makeup because I've gotten a few questions about that. It is a bit tricky to especially do like foundation and everything with a feeding tube, so I figured I'd show you guys how I do that. So the first thing that I do is I take off this dressing, which is already like, I've had to re-stick it back onto the tube like 3 times today. So the first thing that I do is I take this dressing off, and then I just use a makeup wipe to clean my face. And so this part of my skin gets really irritated from being underneath of the dressing all the time. So I try not to I'll clean it off and everything, but I try not to put a whole lot of makeup right here. See, it gets really red because it gets irritated from being under the dressing. And while this does not have dressing on it, I have to be super, super careful because unlike an NG tube where if they slide out you can just put them back down, an NJ tube, you have to be super careful that it stays in place right. So I have to be very careful that nothing gets pulled on it because I would have to go to the hospital to get it replaced. I couldn't do that myself. After I've cleaned my face with the makeup wipe, so then I use one of these little cotton pads and I put on this pore serum. Gotta make sure this doesn't move. And I just squirt a few squirts onto there and then rub this on my face. And this kind of just helps with like acne, and I tend to have pretty clear skin, but I do have some acne, so this kind of helps keep my skin all nice and clean. Then I just let this dry. Stay, stay, stay. Okay. So then I put on my foundation, which I use Cargo HD Picture Perfect Liquid Foundation, but the label's kind of rubbing off. And this is the brush that well, it's not technically a brush. It has like a beauty blender on the top, but this is, whoops. So then this is what I use to put on my foundation with. Once again, I am not very good at makeup, but so this is not going to be one of those like beauty gurus, like beautiful makeup tutorials. Nope. This is just how I do my everyday makeup with my feeding tube. I typically leave this cheek for last because that's the hardest to do. So then what I do on the cheek that actually has my feeding tube is I'll take the feeding tube off of my cheek like this. So I'll take the feeding tube off like this, and I just try to avoid this general area. 1, because it's sensitive, and 2, if I get makeup on there and try to stick a dressing on, the dressing doesn't stick as well. So I try to I do it down here, and I do it up here, but I try to just avoid this general area in my cheek. So yeah, I just tried to avoid this general area, and then I'll put this back. And then I just put a little bit of concealer, which sometimes I'll use this brush, otherwise I honestly just use my finger a lot of the time. I know, how fabulous, right? But I put concealer underneath my eyes because I tend to have some pretty big bags under my eyes, so. Can you hear my pump? So then I put on my powder, which is, I use Cargo HD, again for powder. I really like all of Cargo's makeup. That's my favorite makeup brand. But it's so hard to find. So I have mast cell activation syndrome, and it is so hard to find makeup that I don't react to on my skin. And I've tried like really expensive makeup, really cheap makeup, and honestly, this is the best that my skin reacts to so far, and it's the Cargo HD brand. And then again, I try to just kind of stay off of this general area in my cheek. Typically, that's all that I do for my skin, is just foundation, concealer, and powder, because I'm not very good at makeup. So now I'm going to put more dressing on this. And so now I just take an alcohol pad, because if there is any makeup left on where I put the dressing, it will not stick. So I just go through and make sure that I didn't get any makeup, or that any makeup is off. And my skin is burning. So as you can see, my skin is quite irritated. So now that I have cleaned off any leftover makeup, I put on the dressing. And I use a variety of different dressing. One of my favorites is Duoderm, but for some reason we can't get Duoderm from my home health care company. But that is my favorite, and it's the most sensitive on my skin. Otherwise, I've used Tender Grips, which are nice when your skin is irritated, because they're just 2 little dots, like right here, and then the rest of your skin is open so it can breathe. But currently, I just use Tegaderm, which has been working okay. And these are the 2 marks that I use to tell how far in the tube should be. There are numbers on the other side, but when they placed my NJ tube, they made these 2 little marks, and they originally made this one, and then they had to make this one because they did it a little off. So these typically sit right about there. So I'll just stick that Tegaderm, make sure it is all pushed down and stuck to my skin. And then what I like to do is I like to put a heart on my little Tegaderm. I have gauze Tegaderm, which is like, I'll find a piece of it. So the piece that I found, I've already cut a lot out of it so you can't see it, but so this that I have on my face is just plain Tegaderm. It's like perfectly clear. And this is like a gauze Tegaderm, so it's white all the way through, so you can't actually like see through it, but it's just a different kind of Tegaderm. And so I like to use that to cut out a little heart, so I'll either have a white heart, or sometimes I'll actually decorate the tape. So this time I decorated it to look like zebra. So then I just peel the backing off of that. So then I just figure out where I want it. Press that down. And there you go. And now I have a cute zebra heart. So now that this is all taped down and secured, I don't have to be quite as careful that it doesn't get pulled on. Obviously, I'm always careful that it doesn't get pulled on, but when I don't have dressing, I'm like super, super careful that nothing touches it. So now I'm gonna do my mascara, which, surprise, surprise, can you guess what brand my mascara is? Cargo. And this is the Boundless Lashes mascara. I actually get asked a lot what mascara I use, because I have I have pretty long, thick eyelashes. I'm actually gonna look in my mirror while I do this, so hold on. So now my mascara is done, and I naturally have pretty long and thick eyelashes, so that's pretty much all the eye makeup that I do. I occasionally put on eyeliner, but I really don't attempt eyeshadow unless it's like a really fancy occasion, because I am so bad at it. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I do for my eyes. And then I do a little bit to my eyebrows, but once again, nothing too extraordinary because, like I said before, not the best at makeup, so. And there you go. I fill in a little bit of my eyebrows and I use some eyebrow mascara to keep them in place, and that's really all that I do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I just do a very natural makeup look, nothing too extravagant, but it is a bit tricky with a feeding tube, especially when you're doing like foundation and powder and everything like that, to make sure that you can get your whole face, but then again leave that space open and make sure you don't have makeup underneath so that your dressing will still stick and it won't suddenly fall off and you'll be in trouble and get yourself into some trouble. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this interesting makeup tutorial, and thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!